Secretary General, welcome to Inside Albania, welcome to my studio, and thank you for making time for me in your schedule.
Thank you.
Now, first things first, I'm curious. Is this your first time in Albania? What are your impressions? What were your expectations? What do you think about Albania?
You know, it is not the first time.
No.
I came several times in Albania, also in previous capacities. I was president of Switzerland before, and I came several times, and also now. And I have a very good impression. It's always a pleasure to be back, you know. Also because I know also the history of the country, and it's really impressive what Albania achieved in the last, would say, 30 years. It's really impressive, and we are really proud also with the Council of Europe to be at the side of Albania and Albanian people, you know, for this development.
Good. I'm happy to hear nice words said about Albania, and also I have to say as well, I've been following the Council of Europe's work for about almost 20 years.
Really?
So for me to have
a huge experience there.
Yeah, for
That's
me
great.
to have you here today is really exciting, and I actually went to a plenary session for the first time in April last year when they were voting on Kosovo.
Oh, yeah.
And this was amazing, but we'll talk about that a bit later. It's one of the questions that I have for you. So again, thank you for coming. I was really excited.
Thank you for the invitation. Great pleasure.
Now, I've read the report Towards a New Democratic Pact for Europe, which takes stock of the issues which we're all facing in Europe at the moment: war, geopolitics, democratic backsliding, much, much more, technology, cybersecurity. What do you consider is the biggest threat that is facing us at the moment that we must address urgently?
I think the biggest threat that we are witnessing right now is, I'm sure, the loss of trust in our democratic institutions. You know, we are living on a continent known for strong values. I mean, democracy is a reality on the continent. Democracy and the rule of law and a strong protection for the human rights. And this is at stake at the moment. I mean, this is the question that we have, and it is backsliding. It is no question about this. It is backsliding everywhere on the continent, and we need to address the causes explaining this, and also to know that it will be no journey back to the 90s. I mean, the conditions have changed. You mentioned the technological changes. We can mention artificial intelligence. We can mention disinformation. We can mention all the strong difficult culture of debate, polarization of the societies, and all this creates like new conditions, and we need to adapt if we want to have positive development for democratic institutions and for democratic life. And that's exactly what we want to do with the Council of Europe. I mean, we need to address this. That's exactly why I launched this idea to have a new democratic pact for Europe, because it is our DNA.
Yes.
I mean, and we need to engage, and we need to be strong for those values.
You know, it's so interesting hearing you speak like that. You're from a country which many consider as, you know, one of the best, most democratic. You know, they've got it together as far as existing goes. But the way that you're talking about these problems, it echoes what I hear from people in Albania every day. We've just had elections. People don't trust the results. They don't trust that the institutions work. They don't trust the police. They don't believe their vote matters. The media is manipulating, you know, what can be done with AI in terms of videos, photos, audio. It's terrifying, you know?
It is.
So you're coming from this developed part of Europe, and you're saying exactly the same thing that we're hearing on the street here.
You know, we all have different histories and different past, and we build on this past, and we must change what we want to change, and we need to protect what we need and we want to protect. And now, when I was telling you before that democracy is backsliding everywhere, it is a fact. Even in my country of origin, you know, we see also there that this polarization of the debate is stronger than before, that we have the new challenge with AI, with the social media, you know, with the evolution of the traditional media, the protection of journalists. We see this everywhere, and that's why we are strongly concerned about this. You just mentioned the elections. It's clear that there is no democracy without free and fair elections. That's clear. And it's exactly also why we need to have observations. You know, other partners, organizations coming and observing what's happening, and then making some reports about the elections.
It's a shame that has to happen, though, isn't it?
No, it was always the case. I mean, it is also part of a normal development of democracy. But then there is no democracy if there is no acceptation of the result. I mean, if there are free and fair elections. And we see also that now, this capacity that we have also to accept some frustration. I see this also in my experience as a citizen. As I voted in my country, I lost votes several times. And if you lost votes, you need to accept the result.
Be humble.
I mean, you need to be able to deal also with this kind of frustration. But on the other side, there is also a huge responsibility for those who won to integrate who lost also in the whole organization of society in any way. I mean, democracy is exactly this. It is to accept that we decide together and we will be not always 100% okay with the result. It's part of the game. And we need to preserve this, to have good conditions for this, and say this not being naive. It is clear that when we have disinformation, when we have manipulation, when we have all those bad things, then we need also to act, clearly.
Do you think there's any threat more specific to Albania in the Western Balkans, that maybe is not so strong in the rest of Europe?
The Western Balkans is, for the Council of Europe, a very important region. That's why I've been a lot of times in different countries of the region recently. It is a fascinating region. I mean, I know also the history, just think about the last 30, 40 years. What does it mean, for Albania coming from, fully other situation and to this strong country right now on the path to the accession to the EU, you know what I mean?
Hosting big summits.
Also with other countries, we see also all the challenges that we have in Bosnia and Herzegovina, for example. We are also strongly concerned what's happening there and other countries. I mean, it is not only fascinating, but it is the very heart of the European continent. It is really important. We must be able together to define the way we want to have for the population, for the people, because we must never forget, why are we doing this? We are not doing this for ourselves or for institutions or for organizations. We are doing this only for the people, for the population, to have good perspectives for the future and to have good possibilities to have positive development for the people. That's exactly what we need. And if we are not able to deliver on this point, then we will have mistrust on democracy. That's really, I see a link, a very strong and important link here. And then we have the tools. We have the tools, we have the experience, we have the expertise, and the Council of Europe is one of those organizations able to do this, and it's exactly what we need to do now. And it is now. That's also the point.
When we talk about Albania, as I said, we've just had elections, so this topic is really important. Are there any conversations that you think the Council of Europe needs to have with Albania about reforms to do with the election, about how the election was held, about things they need to do better next time? Any concerns that
about the elections, as I told you before, I mean, there is always observation. It was also the case here, and it is not to me to have an impression on elections. We need to have facts. We need to have facts, to have assessment about the election, and we will see like in all the countries. We have observation missions from different bodies in all countries. It's always a good thing, and we will see what happens. But then now for the specific case of Albania, and really an important country for the Council of Europe with very strong relations with the Council of Europe, it is important to continue on that path on reforms. We have an office here. It is an important office that we have in Tirana with projects and an action plan and projects for all the country. And the goal is here to implement together some projects, to address issues, to address to fight against corruption, to improve also the functionment of the justice, all those elements where we always need to work together. We do this in all countries, by the way, and it is particularly important for Albania now because of this evolution for the EU accession. There is no possibility to see an EU accession without a strong implementation of all the reform projects with the Council of Europe, and it's exactly what we are doing now.
That's actually what I was going to ask, about you know, in the report, it said Albania's made progress, it's prosecuted officials, it's made progress on corruption, but there were challenges persisting. But I guess you've just said, you know, some of that relates to the justice reform and sort of staying on top of corruption, things like this.
It is a never-ending task, you know, in all countries, by the way.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
it is a never-ending task. We need to address these elements, to have more transparency, to see where, and to be able and to be open to address challenges and issues when we know that there is a difficulty. And there is the case everywhere. We are living societies. It is normal between, you know, that between institutions, people, we have things going very well, other going not that well, and then just being aware on this, we need to address this, maybe to make a reform, maybe to have some progress here. Why? Because at the end, what we want to have is previsibility, predictability,
Yes.
and stability.
Of course.
And because only with this predictability and stability, we will have good conditions for a booming economy, for a good, a positive development for the economic development, and also good and positive perspectives for the people. It's exactly what we need to address, and then I mean, with our work, with what we are doing together, it must be possible to have good development in this direction.
Now, there was another topic in the report that I was interested in discussing, and that's to do with money laundering, because the Council of Europe's report on money laundering always makes the news here, and obviously this is something the EU's picked up on as well. The authorities have improved, you know, there has been work to enhance the measures against money laundering, but I'm wondering, you know, what challenges do you see it still facing, and what needs to be done to sort of speed things up in that respect?
What I see in general, it is that it is important not only to address challenges that we note in a country and in the region on the legal level, and to have some reforms. We need also to make always sure that there will be a real implementation of all the reforms.
Yeah,
you know?
this is the key bit.
That's the key point. But you know, the first you need the three steps. The first step is to recognize, to see that there is a point to address.
Yes.
Then it's to address the point and to make all the legal changes that you need to have a good situation. And then it's to make sure that it is working. You know, that the implementation will be fully made. It will be fully implemented, and it is never a linear path, you know. You need always to have discussions to say, but please look here, maybe we could also do in this way, to be creative also, and to try to address this and to make steps together. And it's exactly why we are here. I mean, Council of Europe with this office, a strong office, by the way, in Tirana. It's exactly to do this with the strong support also of the headquarters in Strasbourg. And we are following, Albania really closely, because it is for us a very interesting evolution. As I mentioned before, incredible achievements in 30 years. I mean, if you just have a look in the last 30 years, and this path in the direction of the EU accession. And this is an important element, and we are here at the side of the country, of the people, institutions, to make these steps happen.
I know the authorities generally quite receptive. I mean, I'm not sure if you're sort of on the phone to them all the time saying, you need to do this, can you do that? But, you know, I know from my experience covering the Council of Europe for nearly 2 decades that some member states are not that receptive to criticism or feedback or requests sometimes. You know, so I'm wondering where Albania is on that scale.
I would say with Albania, it's functioning very well. I was present personally 2 months ago. I had very good and positive discussions. I had, by the way, also a long bilateral meeting, tete-a-tete, with the Prime Minister Edi Rama. I mean, you know, it's going really well. And also the technical level, we have those contacts, and it's going well. Good. What we need to see, it is that the Council of Europe is made from 46 member states. And we have really a huge diversity of context, history, past, and I mean, we need to work with this. It is not good to see the Council of Europe as a homogeneous, how to say this in English, you know, the homogeneous region. We need to accept this diversity, but at the same time to see that we have shared values.
Yes.
And we need to protect those shared values, democracy, rule of law, and the human rights. And we must implement this in different contexts. I think, and I'm strongly convinced, you know, the best way to do this is to have a stronger leverage for the Council of Europe. And to have this, we need also to be present, I mean, at geopolitical level. That's why the presence of the EPC is so important for also for us.
To have
and
more
to
weight,
see,
you mean?
Yes, and to see that all those values, they are not lost in some translation. They are in the reality on the ground, and they are to implement in a context. I mean, and we need to address also the socio-economic context. We need to address, the energy supply. We need to address the political reality of the countries, and then to see what we can do at best to have the strongest possible development for democracy, the rule of law, and human rights. And we do this everywhere where it is possible on the continent, to have this kind of convergence together. And it is particularly difficult right now because we are living in a quite diverging world. That's the point.
Yes.
And that's exactly why it is important to do now. The Council of Europe was founded in 1949, just after the World War II. It was just after a terrible period of destruction, violence, on the continent. And the Council of Europe was founded exactly 4 times like now.
Yes.
It was not founded for good weather conditions.
No.
It was founded to be present and to deliver when it is the most difficult moment. And it is now, with the geopolitical changes, new administration in the US, a bit of instability everywhere, the necessity to have a stronger Europe together, but the larger family of Europe. When I speak from Europe, out of the 46 member states,
not just the EU.
also the Caucasus, also Turkey, also all the countries from the Balkans, also Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, UK. Yeah, absolutely. And it is important to see this geographical reality as also a political reality, and it is exactly what we can do with the Council of Europe.
It's a big task. It's
to
converge everybody, to get everyone on the same page and to agree. But what I like about the Council of Europe is it's less, I don't know if it's the right word, less political than the EU. Like, people can disagree. You can be harsher in the things that are said. Not harsher, but more direct. More,
it is different.
And this I like.
It is different. It is different because we have the strong commitment that we all that all the countries have together to the Council of Europe. It is based on the European Conventions on Human Rights.
Yep.
And based on the European Convention on Human Rights, the European Court on Human Rights. That's really important because it allows in all member states to have citizens, when they see that their own rights have been violated, they can go to the court, and they can have a discussion on the case, and they can also have a reparation or a decision. That's really important. That's the commitment. And then the whole commitment to democracy, rule of law, and human rights is based on this. And it allows us, because that's true what you said before, it is not the European Union. The European Union is a political project. And the Council of Europe is a project based on values for people, and built and founded just after the World War II. That means in these quite particular and difficult conditions. And it is the ground, I would say. It is the ground, where it is possible to build then good relations for on our continent.
And we're talking about human rights, which is my favorite topic. And I wanted to ask you, looking across Europe, what the burning human rights issues are across Europe at the moment, but also then let's go down into the Western Balkans and Albania as well. Domestic violence, minorities. I mean, what do you see as the most pressing issue?
At the moment, it was interesting for me to see what was mentioning, Antonio Guterres, the last UN General Assembly last September. He told us the level of impunity has been never as high as today since decades. And it is true between countries, wars, destruction, impunity. But we see also a strong backsliding at the human being level. I mean, for people. And you mentioned important elements. I mean, we have this convention, fighting against domestic violence, violence against women and girls. The so-called Istanbul Convention, and after a phase where it was really progressing in a good direction, now it is not going in a good direction.
It's been hijacked by...
And that's the difficulty for us. What does it mean for us? What can we do with this? We need to put on the brake with this backsliding, to have more transparency on the elements, and also to bring the elements showing that a society, a country, accepting those developments is doing something bad for the own development of the whole country, and also on the socio-economic level and for the perspective for the people. By the way, in Albania, we have a very positive development on this. We had. Good. I mean, it's important to mention this and to underline this. And it's clear we are always a bit concentrated where it is going worse and bad. But it is also important to underline that we have still, that's good, also positive examples. And we need to work between these different elements and to try to have the whole family, I mean the larger European family, going in a better direction also in those issues. That's a very important point. Then you have some brutal violations against professional groups, maybe journalists. I mean, we have more than 160 journalists in jail at the moment in Europe last year. In fact, we had also journalists killed on our continent.
She was my colleague, Daphne Caruana Galizia.
We must be aware on this.
I worked with her in Malta. I lived there for 10 years, and this is where I started really following the Council of Europe, because the Council of Europe and the Assembly was instrumental in the pressure that they put on the authorities.
And we have for this also, the platform for the journalists, and also we have the place where it is possible to announce the evolution. And I saw that in some countries we have, I would say, almost a statistical view on the evolution, and we see that it is not going in the right direction. And it allows us on, I would say, objective basis to have the discussion and to say, hey, what's happening here? And it is not possible to have a good functioning democracy without to have the diversity in the media, and without to accept different opinions, and without to accept that the journalists are doing just their job. The other point I want to mention, it is the new convention that we opened for signature the last 2 days in Luxembourg by the Ministry of the Council of Europe for the protection of lawyers. Really important, to protect the lawyers. It is not possible to have a good implementation of the rule of law if lawyers are threatened, they are under pressure. Harassed. And the new convention, it is a very positive development, open to signatures since 2 days. And we had a huge interest at the very beginning. We had in the first 2 days almost 15 countries signing, signing. And we need to continue, because it is a very important element. Also to mention that this convention, it is not only open to the Council of Europe. That they are really global conventions. They are from the Council of Europe, but they are open also to other continents, other countries. And I mean, it is where we can also have a strong relevance.
Now, I want to jump the topic very slightly to our neighbour Kosovo. As I mentioned before, I was at the second vote, which was successful. The third vote didn't take place. And I'm wondering, do you see Kosovo joining the Council of Europe soon? Is it still on the agenda, this third vote? What's going to happen?
It is at the moment on the table of the Committee of Ministers. That means it is now on the table of the member states. We have 46 member states, and those 46 member states, they must decide what they can and what they want to do with the application of Kosovo. It is not decided yet, but I think it will be one day a decision for the accession. I mean, what we need also to see, maybe not about the accession of Kosovo now, but the place of Kosovo and the people in the region. I mean, we need to have a strong place for dialogue. We need to support dialogue. We need also to be at the same table to discuss all the issues. And for what we can offer with the Council of Europe, it is the protection for the people, for the citizens, through the European Convention on Human Rights, and with this possible accession, accession to address cases to the European Court on human rights. And it is what we want to see also progressing, obviously, clearly, but in a general way, what I can say. But I think that the Committee of Ministers is fully aware about the importance of this application, and they will one day must
I hope that day is soon, because like you said, it's Kosovo will benefit from it, Serbia will benefit from it, or everyone involved would actually benefit from Kosovo being able to access, or the citizens be able to access those mechanisms.
At the moment, I think all the situation, it is it is part. They have we've seen elections in Kosovo. I mean, the situation is also evolving, and we see also the old situation in the Western Balkans in general. I mean, we've situation in Serbia. We have also the whole elements in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We need for this whole region a strong stability, and it is not always so easy because, I mean, 35 years ago, it was also war in the region. We never forget this and what it means for Europe. That means we need stability. We need a high level of dialogue and collaboration and working together. And it is so important for the European continent because we are here at the very center. I mean, also geographically and with this diversity, the heart. And that's why it's so important for us. I mean, we must see the whole context, and we work also with this whole context as a reality, and we must deal with.
My last question: what's the future for Europe? What role is the Council of Europe going to play, and where does Albania fit in?
I think we are witnessing in the recent months huge changes. I mean, the new administration in the US created like a new situation for us. You know, I'm sure that this strong relation between Europe and the US will remain strong because I do not see really, to be honest, I think there is also important for the US. Where would be the alternative for the US?
They are shooting themselves in the foot by destroying.
But I think it will remain strong. Yes. But at the same time, the signal for us is clear. We need to do more for our own security. And as you saw, there is a huge development right now for the hard security investment for the continent, for Europe. I mean, not only European Union, but also outside with Turkey, UK and other countries. That's good. But it will be never stable if it is not built on the ground based on democratic security. And where we can deliver, where the Council of Europe can really bring an added value, it is exactly for this, to bring all the elements to build this democratic security, because only with this we will have then a stable security for the whole continent. It is a bit my message. Since many weeks and months, and I think this message is much more relevant also after the new administration in the US with the evolution that we are facing right now. And like I said before, I mean, it is exactly for those moments that we are here. You know, we are not here just to manage the situation in good weather conditions. Now it happens a lot. I mean, the next 3, 4, 5 years they will be decisive for the continent, and I hope that we will be all able to do this together and to create a good situation, not for us, but I mean for our children, for the next generations. As we, in the past, saw exactly what was functioning and what was not functioning. And we can learn from this. And I think it is exactly where the Council of Europe can bring another value. That's the first point. I mean, it will mean a strong Europe in the world with also, positive elements that we can develop. For Albania, I think, the integration in the European Union will be a very important step very soon. But it's not only the goal that it is important. The path is really important. And this path and this development that the country made since decades now, and with the strong support of the Council of Europe, is really important. Yes. It is what is making the situation is changing, and that the population is also seeing that the perspectives are coming to have positive development. I hope that we will be able to do this all together and to work on this strong unity around the values that we have: democracy, the rule of law, and a good protection and a strong protection for the human rights.
Secretary General, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy your time in Albania.
I thank you. Sure, yeah. Thanks.
Thanks. That's all for this week. As always, you can follow Inside Albania every Saturday on Euronews Albania at 4 o'clock, on demand on our YouTube channel, Euronews Albania, and across all major podcasting platforms. Until next week, Miropavshim.